Bantucentric is recommended for listeners over the age of 16, as it may contain foul language and/or mature subject matter. This podcast is brought to you by Imagine Only Productions.
Welcome to Bantucentric. My name is Buck Rivers, and with me as always is my co-host Cheyenne Finch.
We're a couple of Bantus discussing movies, music, relationships, and pretty much everything else. Hereditary!
You didn't even let me get in there.
I'm angry.
So we are about to discuss the film Hereditary that came out last Friday.
If you didn't already know.
We both saw it over the weekend, and so we're just gonna spitfire this thing. Spoilers, please go to
37 minutes.
if you want to skip that. So I don't know, but haphazard spoilers mixed in there. So what was your opinion, Giant?
I almost left halfway into the movie. The only reason I stayed is because we planned to talk about it tonight. That's it. That's the only thing that kept me in the theater. I was ready to leave. Wow. If you couldn't tell from the text messages I was giving you. I felt like the first half of the movie wasn't even necessary. None of it had to be there. Okay. Like, they could have started off from the middle, where, big spoiler alert, little girl dies. They could have started right there, and then, the rest of that would have been a decent movie. It still wouldn't have been great, but it would have been decent. But, without everything at the beginning. If they just started off, boy goes to party, takes his sister, I would have been like, whoa, this movie's nuts. And then, they go on to explain, the grandmother and the whole, clan and whatever. I would have been like, okay, this movie was all right. But the first half of it, none of it was necessary. It was long, it was slow. The whole thing just felt unnecessary. Like I said, I could have done without the entire first half of that movie. I was sitting there for an hour. I pulled out my phone, Googled how long is this movie, and I was mad because I started getting a whole bunch of facts about genetics and hereditary things and families, and I was like, no, Hereditary the movie, what is the length? And then it said 2 hours and 7 minutes, and I was like, I have a whole other hour left. It didn't feel like they had an hour of story left in them. I was like, what else do you have to tell me? There's just... I didn't know what was going on. I
don't get it.
None of it made sense. It was are they ghosts? Are they actual people? What is happening? And it wasn't one of those, baffles your mind in a good way. I love unpredictable, scary movies. It's why I love Saw, especially the first Saw, because no one saw the ending coming. Mm-hmm. It was wild.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one.
Yeah, but Hereditary, no. This was, unpredictable in the way where there was no storyline, so that's why you didn't know what was coming next, because it had nothing. It was just giving you nothing, so you had no idea what was coming later. It was just...
Oh, no.
No.
I don't get it. I loved that movie. Not loved.
You're stupid for liking it.
I was gonna bring that back, but I don't know. I felt it was very well made, and I was definitely engaged throughout the entirety of that film. And I was nervous, and I didn't know what was coming up next because it felt gripping. I definitely think that the beginning was slow, but I felt it really needed to establish the family, establish how the grandmother was to her daughter and why this mother is being this way to her children, and all of that tension and that just that uncomfortability that was there. It felt that it built that up very well. So then when the supernatural shit started happening, it felt out of left field, but I loved how quickly it got into it. It was like, this lady invites her over, she's like, I'm gonna show you the seance, and it just starts. You know, most movies would be like, maybe the cut moves a little bit, but we're still skeptical. It was like, no, this ghost is writing things on a chalkboard. This shit's real, lady. Like, it was just quick, and it got her into it.
I liked
she shows
that
her
part.
family, and things just boosh. I definitely have heard from reviewers that people prefer one half more than the other half. But yeah, I liked it all pretty much equally. I mean, obviously I was more engaged when more things were happening, but I feel like if they didn't have that slow build up in the beginning, you wouldn't get it. They needed to plant so much. I was hoping to be able to watch it again.
I still don't get
today before we started.
No,
well,
I'm still upset.
I don't know if you want to spend the money. But
no,
like,
I didn't want to spend the money in the
seeing
first
it
place.
again.
I was sitting there like, $13 damn this movie cost me, and then I had the nerve to get a pizza too. Like, I was just upset. That was like $21 that I could have spent on anything else. Because I was just sitting there and I was like, what's happening? There was no, like, it didn't feel like a horror movie. Like, one of the reviews I saw online, someone said this isn't a scary movie, it's a weird movie. Like, it's, like, it didn't feel like it should fall under the genre of horror. It felt like it was its own genre that was just weird and it didn't make any sense. And it's...
Well, what kind of horror are you talking about? Like, because it's definitely not modern horror at all. I didn't want to spoil anything, so I didn't give you any kind of... Well, I think it very much reminisces Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist. Like, if you watch either of those movies, it's the same kind of deal.
The
like,
end
Rosemary's
of it
Baby
is more The Exorcist. The beginning of it?
Yes, but have you watched The Exorcist recently?
Not recently, but I have seen it.
It's a boring ass movie. I don't like it.
But at least you knew, like,
at
there's
least I
a
didn't
demon
when I watched
and,
it.
like, girls possessed and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of understand the concept and you get, like, where the story's going. My problem with this one, I didn't know if anyone was possessed. I didn't know what was happening, why people were dying. I knew there was a weird thing going on with the grandmother, and as far as, like, her son and, like, the daughter had a bad upbringing. It was like they gave the context, they gave the backstory, and then it was just like 60 minutes of unnecessary brooding. And then, bam, some action happened. Like, that's how it felt for me. I was just sitting there like, oh God, this movie is still on. Like...
Wow.
And then someone dies and I was like, whoa! And I like grabbed my face. I was like, oh my God. And then for the next 30 minutes, I'm like, more unnecessary brooding. And then like someone else dies and I'm like, whoa! And then it's like 15 more minutes of unnecessary brooding. like that's just what it felt to me.
I'm so baffled. Like I've had people, you know, obviously we've disagreed on movies. Like we didn't agree on Infinity War, but just in general. But like, I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that it gripped me. Like I said, I was gripped. I was gripped
the
entire
agony.
film.
Agony.
I didn't look at my watch once. When you said it was 2 hours and 7 minutes,
yes,
you said?
Exactly. 2 hours and 7 minutes.
I didn't feel any of that time. I was like, what's going on? I wasn't saying more. I didn't think it needed to be longer by any stretch. For me, I liked the build-up. I don't know. I can't say which side I liked more. I just felt that I felt it did a good job of getting you into this family and making you feel that. Did you not feel connected to the loss of the mother and then to the loss of the girl and the tension within the family? I think that, I don't know, for me, that was enough throughout that first part. It was so awkward and you wanted things to be okay, but there was just nothing that anybody could say to make it okay. And it was just, I was clenched like that whole time until, you know, crazy stuff started happening and then I was afraid. But I feel like it was one of those movies that could have been, you know, this could be in their heads. Like, they could just be crazy, you know? I wasn't sure if we were going there until the end, but that's where it felt, that it was like things were happening, but nothing was happening that was definitively one way or the other, you know? And then upon, you know, getting to the end, I do want to watch it again. I was hoping I could have today, but the next showing after I got out of work was like an hour away, and then we would have been recording, and so I just didn't really have time. But they planted so much in the beginning, you know, as far as the little girl being like, Grandma always wanted me to be a boy. I understand why. She was pressuring her daughter to have this son.
But it
that
was like
why, so she could have a vessel for this kid. Like,
brood
yo.
for 60 minutes. Like, plant contact
but what I mean
seed.
Is you didn't know it was,
for 60
you didn't
minutes.
know what it was. What do you mean the brooding? Like, what's a scene that you remember where you were specifically just like bored,
it was just
like brooding?
The
I don't get it.
Like the entire time, it was just about like, yeah, people in my life have died, so I'm upset, and it was just like. It was like things would happen, and the majority of the movie was her emotionally dealing with it. And even her husband, like, I resonated with her husband on a deep level. He was just like, get over it.
Sure.
Like, I'm sick of this. She's like, I'll come make dinner. No, I made dinner. I came to get you. Come eat it. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, I resonated with that man on a deep level. And even when she was like, burn the book, he was like, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm not burning no book for you. I'm over it. Like, I was emotionally pulled in when the son knew his sister was dead, and he just kind of sat there like he knew what had happened, and he didn't want to deal with it.
Jesus.
That was a good that was good writing. That was good directing. Like, that was good. But it was like, that was it. It was like you're giving me like, it was like someone gave me a machine that was like, you might get a cookie, you might get crap. And then like every 30 pulls, I got a cookie, but every like pull in between each cookie, you gave me crap. It was like 30 pieces of crap and then a cookie. And I just kept pulling because I was hoping another cookie would come. But it was just like, it just kept giving me crap. And then I was like, hey, another cookie. And then it was just more crap. Like, that was just, that's how
what
I
about
felt
the ending
about this movie. That's the best way to explain it.
What about that whole stretch?
The ending?
From like... What'd you think of that? Because when they started giving more information and more context, I was in there and I was like, okay, so that's what this meant and that's what this meant, that kind of thing. But then it got to such a head where there was a point for me where I was like, okay, this is too much. But then it ended on a note that it was still too much, but I understood. I think that's what it is that I want to see it again and just watch it. As, you know, for the cinematography and all the different things that I would as a filmmaker, because for me, it very much felt like that classic, you know, that throwback to horror of old, you know, that 70s kind of style where we're adding information, but it's a really slow start and we don't know, and it's mystical shit and cult leaders and all of this stuff that you're just not even expecting, but that's what's under the surface. It really felt like that, and it felt like, you know, we're not going to fill this with jump scares. We're not going to make this a horror movie, because I was afraid. Like, leaving the theater, I felt weird, not just because of the end part, but because I was so nervous for an hour. And then it's like, this is what it is. And you see her doing this thing, and I'm already, because I'm black, I'm like, don't be trying to call your daughter. Like, fuck her. She's dead. Leave her dead. Like, I'm like, nah, this is some white people shit. I ain't fucking with it, you know? Like, from then on, and it just got worse. And then she introduced it to her family, and I was like, no, you brought that shit in your house. And then she's like, here, throw the book in. Or she was trying to burn the book, and it was burning her. I was like, see, bitch, it's stuck on you. This white people shit. And then she's like trying to get her husband to throw it in. I was like, yup, white people shit. And then the cult members, yup, white people shit. I'm so glad. The thought that I had leaving that theater when I was getting in my car, I'm so glad there were no black people in this. You know, I think there might have been like side people in the background, but I'm glad, especially for that cult at the end, I'm glad none of them were black, because I had that feeling that was like, not that I'm anti-diversity, but some people are always like, we don't want to force it, blah, 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 and I'm usually not on their side. This particular film, I was like, that would be an example of forced diversity, for real, because there ain't no black person that's in that cult. None. No fucking way. Like, We ain't fucking with that. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian, doesn't matter if you're atheist, whatever. If your skin is brown, you are not in that cult. That's just not gonna happen. You ain't worshiping Satan, some weird demons and shit, pointing their fingers in weird ways. Like, nah, none of that. I felt uncomfortable, because when she was reading those words, I was like, nah, there's some devil shit. I gotta cover my ears.
That's what
Otherwise,
pissed
it's
me
gonna
off.
follow
They were
me
like,
home.
what
Like,
language
I
is
was
this?
worried.
I don't know. Just read it. Okay. Like,
I was worried.
What kind of dumb stuff
worried.
is that? Like,
this movie got me the whole time. Like I said, I was just nervous, and then I was worried, and it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel afraid, not because it was just scary on screen, but because of what was going on and me as a person, you know? That's what I mean, is that I think that's why I liked it so much, is that it made me feel so much stuff, and that I was like, when we got to the end part, I thought of walking out, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but because I heard my mom's voice in my ear being like, yo, there's some devil shit, you know, don't be in the house where they're playing with the Ouija board. I got that feeling of like, I shouldn't be watching this. Like, this is evil, you know? And I didn't expect it to be evil. Like, I've watched all kinds of horror movies, but usually I don't watch the stuff that's just straight demons, you know? Because once it gets in there, it's kind of weird. It gives you that
at the
feeling,
end, I was like, I shouldn't be here. I should go home. But the movie was over. Like, it was too late. You've seen it. Like you've watched the whole thing. I was like, great. I'm now part of the demons. like I don't know. Like, there were certain things where it was like the little girl felt weird, and I didn't know why she was weird. And then she was like,
people that have disorders.
Yeah, but they never said she had a disorder. She was just weird.
Well, it was clear. You could see that. I don't think there's a problem with being able to see that.
I don't know.
Just saying.
I felt like it was like, if that was the only thing, it wouldn't have bothered me. But there was just so many things about this movie that left me with questions. And I was sitting there and I was bored, and I was like, I don't know. I like movies to constantly give me pieces of evidence. Like I said, like, Saw is my all-time favorite horror movie franchise. And not to say that all of them are amazing. Like, nothing has topped the first one yet.
No.
But Saw is like my favorite franchise because when I first watched that movie, it was like they were giving you little bits and pieces of a puzzle to figure out. The entire thing was how to figure this out. How do they get out of there? How did they get in there? What's happening? Who are they? Like, they were like constantly giving you questions and giving you answers. This movie just gave you questions and never answered them until the final minutes. So it was like question, brood, answer. Like I was pissed. I was like, what am I watching? Like, the entire time I'm like, what is this movie? That was the only thing that kept repeating in my head. What is this movie? Why is it called Hereditary? Is there some gene that's being passed down? Like, I
was in that too.
Yeah, I'm like, is there something they're born
that
with?
Question.
It didn't make any sense to me at all until the very end. And then at the very end, I was pissed off about how they resolved that. I was like, I'm still upset. It wasn't good to me. Like, I texted you. I was like, this movie is kind of bad. Like,
yeah, and when you said
couldn't
that,
hold
I thought
it in.
Maybe you meant like evil, like I was thinking. So I was like, I didn't respond because I was like, I don't know what she means by bad. Like, I don't want to spoil.
I meant a dumpster fire. That this movie was trash. I did not want to be there anymore.
Listeners, I don't know if to recommend it or not. Like, I would honestly say go see it just for the sake of finding out if you'll like it or not.
Because
when I was leaving the theater, there were a whole bunch of teenagers that snuck in there, and they were like, "Who the fuck made this movie?" So I'm sure they were on your side when it came to that, you know. But I don't know. I felt like it was
made by some weird, like, artsy-fartsy person that was like, I'm gonna be deep and delve into the world of cults, and I'm gonna, like, I'm gonna try and make the ending, like, unpredictable, and they went for unpredictable so hard that it was just confusing. Like, it was no longer just, I don't know how it's gonna end. It was, I don't know what I'm watching presently. Like, There's
That's why it was so cool, because you were just
No.
like, what's, because I was
wanna
expecting
know-
it to be horror, so I'm like, what's going on? Like you said, that first half, I'm waiting for something horrible to begin, and it didn't, but I was waiting for it, but I wasn't upset that I was waiting for it. I don't know. I was looking for the answers, but when they gave them to us at the end, I felt that it was warranted because she didn't know her mother. We had established how she felt about her mom, what her mom was doing to her even after her death, that she was acting like she was so okay. But that's why, is because her mom had all these secrets, and that's what I mean, is that it felt like those secrets, we were wondering what they were, but they were being explained to us through her character. And so if you're interested in her, you know, if you're able, like, because you didn't like, you know, the brooding and the repetitiveness, if you had liked that, I think that would have been that answer. And that's what I mean. I think that sustained me through the runtime, was I knew something was going on, and I could see, you know, not that I could relate, because my mom, I don't think when she dies I'm gonna be freaking out, you know, I don't think she'll make me feel bad, you know, after she's gone, but just I could see the gears turning, and I could see every choice she was making was always my mom, I want her gone, but I don't like that she's dead, and I feel weird about it, you know. And then to lose a daughter, and your son's the one who did it, and she didn't want to have him. When that scene happened, I was like, yo, makes perfect sense, I get it, you know. And I've seen movies and shows where families have this kind of dynamic. I don't know, I think that's what it was. I was expecting horror, I guess, because that's what it was. But to be honest, when I saw the trailer, I leaned over to Alex, because we were watching, I think we were seeing Game Night the time when I first saw the trailer. And I leaned over to Alex, and I was like, this isn't going to be horror. And she's like, it looks scary. Like, I'm not seeing it. I was like, it's not. It's going to be something else, you know, because it's that kind of trailer.
I was looking for
horror.
And I felt
yeah,
like
it used very particular points, and I was like, that's it. It just like, have you seen The Witch?
No.
Okay. Have you seen the trailer for it?
No.
Okay, well, look up the trailer for The Witch.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, look that up. Okay, it came out a couple years ago. It's like Puritans. Yeah, it's like Puritans out in the woods dealing with threats, you know, that are coming at them. But it's
so
it's
like
an
every
old-timey,
horror movie ever.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's what I mean. They're Puritans. It's a period piece. They're speaking the way that Americans spoke when they first got here, you know, New England kind of stuff. That's the essence of the film. And in the trailer, there are specific scenes that they show that are the scariest parts of the movie visually. But the movie itself was this family, and it was the period piece, and it was scary, but it was basically, I like it because it was a horror story for a Puritan, and we got to experience that firsthand, in the sense that if you were telling a story back then, you're a Puritan telling this story over the campfire, it would freak the fuck out of everybody, because just the idea of somebody becoming a witch or joining this or just talking about the devil in your midst was enough to scare those, you know, those hardcore fire brimstone Christians back then, and we got to experience that. So it wasn't a bunch of rah rah, and people in the theater were pissed, and I'm like, one, advertised about winning awards at Sundance. Anything that wins awards at Sundance, it's not going to be the horror you're looking for. Sorry, but shut the fuck up. Like, you came here.
See,
and
I
you
didn't
knew what
see
it was.
that whole Sundance thing, because that's definitely true. Like, usually if you win awards at Sundance, this is going to be like some artsy stuff that's
it's
like
art.
made by somebody.
It is art. It's
like,
not just
short
come around the corner.
and,
Ooh,
like,
I got a knife. Ooh, scary.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you wanted, then, I mean,
I just wanted them to, I think they could have paced it better. It just felt like there was a large gap of time where I was finding out nothing. Like, had they just, like, had she, like, discovered, like, oh, here's one secret about my mom, but I'm not sure what that means. Oh, stumbled across another thing. Oh, then later I stumbled across another thing. No, it was like she opened the box at the beginning of the movie, saw some stuff, weird, and then went on about her life and brooded for, like, 3/4 of the movie. And then it was like, wait, I'm wondering more things. And then she went back to the box at the end of the movie, and this is when we get to find out more secrets. And I'm like, I wasn't even really wondering about the mother the entire time, because I was just trying to figure out like it didn't even feel supernatural. It just felt like there was like this unfortunate accident that happened to her daughter because her son was being like an ass and she was being an ass, making her daughter go with her son when she knew he was going to a party. I'm like, you're like the stupidest parent in the world if you think right, you know your son's going to a house party. You're the stupidest parent in the world if you can't figure out that your son is going to a house party and you make him take your, like, young daughter who might have a mental disorder with him to this teenage house party where there's going to be alcohol and there's going to be drugs and there's going to be walnuts. And that was her undoing. Like... And it's like, it was just, I was like, this just seems like a whole lot of unfortunate events that don't make any sense. And I feel like I'm watching somebody's, like, life just take place. And I'm just like, why am I here?
That's what was so great about it. Because I think that's what it is.
Like, why am I here?
I could watch a whole movie like that. That's just the awkwardness of life. I could watch, if that movie hadn't gone where it went into the supernatural, I could have been okay. Not based on the trailer, because I would have been like, where's the scary stuff, you know? But just as it was, if I had seen the trailer for it and I was sitting in the theater, I would have been fine with that, honestly. I don't know why, but just that kind of, you know, that sort of thing doesn't piss me off. It doesn't bother me. I don't know. Like I said, I think everything you're saying is valid because I agree. They established stuff about the mother and you saw the box and then you never saw it for the rest of the film until the end. I agree on that. I also agree that once the mom was kind of out of the picture, we kind of switched to the son and caring about him as our protagonist for like the last 15 minutes of the movie, which felt kind of jarring. But at the same time, I don't know. It didn't bother me. That's what I mean, is that throughout none of this did I feel like this film needs to be doing something else. I think in the very, very beginning, I felt bored for a little bit. But as soon as things, I would say possibly until the girl, the sister dies, I wasn't bored, but I didn't know what was happening. I was expecting more plot, and it really was just getting you involved with the family. So I can see that part, you know. Like I said, I understand pretty much every criticism you have for it. It's just, that didn't bother me, you know. It was perfectly fine as was, you know, watching it that way. But I do want to watch it again, and I'll let you know how I feel about it seeing it the second time, because then I'll be able to really just evaluate it as a film. You know, because I watched it and I was just emotion. You know, the whole time I was being affected emotionally. So I was emotion. Critiquing.
I was anger.
I was feeling the emotions of the characters. Anger. Like, that's what I mean. It was an effective movie, you know, the entire time. Everything it wanted me to feel, I was feeling it the entire film. So I was good, you know. Cinematography, wasn't paying attention to it. Pacing, wasn't paying attention. Like, I was feeling all of that awkwardness and all of that pain and all of that suffering the entire time. So I was like, all right, you did it. Good job. You know, I don't know the quality of it. So I would recommend it for people that just like to experience things involving film. But if you're looking for something that is cohesive, you know, that does reminisce, you know, to horror that you're used to as well, I wouldn't. You know, if you've seen The Witch, go watch. If you've seen The Witch and you like it, go watch this movie. You'll like it, just to some degree.
So what you're saying is I should not watch The Witch. I should stay very far away from The Witch.
I love it. I love that movie. I would tell you to give it a shot.
You also loved
either
this
way.
one.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't know that I trust your judgment
give it a shot. I don't know. When it comes to horror, I guess we just have really different tastes when it comes to you know, horror. But for me, I think it's because nothing really scares me that much. You know, The Witch didn't scare me. I was afraid through part of it, you know, but it didn't scare me. This movie definitely, if not scared me, I just think, like I said, it was effective. You know, Mother was effective for me. That's not horror at all, but I had weird dreams the entire night after seeing Mother, you know? And some people are like, that movie fucking sucks. And I was like, I thought it was great, you know? And if not, that's the thing. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have a good time. I was awkward. Mother is awkward. Mother has mostly close-ups. Like, there are no wide shots in that entire film. You were in there close to this person the whole time, feeling the pain and the suffering, and just, you're just clenched the whole movie. It made me feel something. I guess that's what I go for when it comes to movies like that, is just, if you're gonna make me feel intense emotions, not anger at the fact that I'm watching, but just anger, pain, suffering, sadness, happiness, whatever it is, if you can just turn my emotions on a dial the whole time, I feel that you've been successful as a filmmaker, because you were able to move me through your artwork. Whether your story was worth telling or not, who knows? Because I wouldn't, I'm watching it again because we're reviewing it and because it was an interesting film, but I don't do devil shit, so this isn't a movie I'm gonna purchase, you know? I can watch Texas Chainsaw because that's just some backwoods white people chopping up people, you know? But devil worship, I'm as far from that as anybody, you know? So I'm not buying this movie. This isn't something that's a fun horror, you know, marathon. Hey, everybody, let's come over and watch this. Never. Like, I'm not, you know, I called my mom immediately, and I texted her and I was like, do not go see this movie. If you were planning on seeing it with Dad, don't, because I know the end of this movie is gonna make her feel like I felt, but worse. She apparently, I'm gonna tell this story to y'all, throwing my family's business out there. Apparently, after my mom and dad watched Blair Witch, they watched it together, the night of, my mom was just done. Like, she couldn't deal at all. Not the remake, not the new one, the original Blair Witch Project. They watched it on tape. They rented it and saw it, you know, like, and they were caught up in that. Is it true? Is it not? You know, people in the 90s, they weren't sure, you know. Now we know everything about everything, so we're not surprised by shit. But apparently, my dad got up in the middle of the night, and he was not awake, but he sat up in bed and began screaming about something. I don't know if it was just screaming or if he was talking about something, but then he just laid back down and went to sleep. That's the story I've been told by my mom. I don't know if it happened. My dad says he doesn't remember it. When she asked him about it the next morning, he didn't remember it. Maybe she was dreaming. I don't know. But that movie affected her. Same thing with Exorcist. She couldn't watch it. She couldn't deal. It was in her, you know. She can't do devil shit. Me explaining the film to her, if I just told her the plot of that ending part of Hereditary, she would tell me to stop, because she can't put that into her spirit, you know. So I'm just like, I told her, don't, like, it looks like something that could be one way or the other. No, because I didn't see devil worship coming. I wasn't expecting that shit. And when it got started, I was like, oh man, it's devil worship.
I feel like they should warn people about that, because there's some people that really just don't play with that, and they should really definitely like let people know, hey guys, this is kind of like Satan, so like stay away from it. Like, I did feel that maybe I should get out of the theater kind of feeling at the end, you know, just for my own safety. It felt like, but the thing was, it was the end, so I was like, where are you gonna go? It happened. Credits, roll credits. It was like Satan credits. Like, I was like, wait, I feel like I just got trapped into something that I wasn't expecting to be caught in. Like, but one thing I will say about it, I am glad I saw it in a theater in Harlem with my fellow Black people, because there was one scene when they're doing the first seance, and the woman's talking about, I reached out to my grandson and all that, and she's like talking to him like, little Timmy, you there, and all that, and the mother's just like, stop, and she's like, what? And like everyone died laughing, and I was like, my people.
That's awesome.
Like, that was a funny part. She was like, what? Like, what do you mean stop? Like that's my grandchild.
I just had a theater with like teenagers. Like, there were a few people. There were these two really old Black women when I came in, and I was like, what y'all doing here? It just didn't seem like they'd be here for horror anyway. Like, I don't know, I'm stereotyping, but it was jarring a little bit to see them. I was a little bit behind them, but then the rest pretty much were teenagers who clearly snuck in because they went to a different film. It was so obvious, you know, especially when we left. It was like, none of you guys are 17 at all. Like, why'd you sneak into this fucking movie? But
somebody brought their kid in to my theater. Like, really? I heard the kid in the back that was like, hey dad, and I was like, what are you doing here?
Like that. Yeah.
I was like, yo, your kid, you're gonna have to deal with those nightmares, and I don't feel bad for you. Like, your kid's gonna come in the middle of the night and be like, Dad, I see dead people, and you're gonna be like, well, I took you to the movie, so
Yeah.
But I mean, like, as far as the whole like talking in his sleep thing with your dad, I actually like I do that. I'm pretty famous for that in my household. My mom said one time I straight up, like, she walked into my room and I sat up, pointed across the room and said, "The bicycles are over there." And she was like, "Cheyenne, go back to bed." And I was like, "Okay." And I rolled over. And I have no memory of this. Like, I have no memory of this at all. I don't know what I was dreaming about. I have no idea. All I know is the bikes go over there. Like, that's all I knew.
Apparently, one of my roommates is doing the same thing. I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it. But apparently, night after night, he's been waking up. Like, if you're walking around while he's sleeping, he will address you with something that is scary and demonic and just then go back to sleep. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, I got my own room. I ain't in there. I don't care. Y'all keep it over there. Y'all
That's
doing
what you
Ouija
want
stuff.
in a roommate.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm putting a cross on the door. Nothing's coming in here. This is a good Christian room right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, guys. Go see it. Don't see it. Like, it's a very divisive film, you know? I would say definitely if you're a person that just loves cinema, go watch it, because you're going to want to know what people are talking about, you know? If you're a person that just likes cinema, you've probably already seen it, so it doesn't matter, you know? But I don't know. And
if you love your time, don't go see it, because this will be a waste of it.
I don't agree.
If you are a lover of time, I don't recommend this movie. Go if you love your money. If you want to spend $21 on something else, I recommend you do that. You want to go eat a pizza while you watch a movie, go eat it during a different movie.
I ate a pizza and some popcorn when I saw this, and I was very pleased. So,
and I was pleased with my pizza. That's about it.
But speaking of film, black people make movies too.
They do.
We don't make them about devil worship at all.
We don't.
Because we know better.
We have Jesus.
Yeah. We just don't. Like I said, even if you're atheist, you ain't doing this. There's no black people behind this movie. You know, I don't even think the grips. I don't even think the boom operators. I don't even think the editors. I don't think anybody on set, post-production, pre-production was black. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think anybody. I don't think the PAs fetching coffee, they weren't black. Like, there were no black people in or around this film. Like, period. They were out. They could feel it, and they left the premises. Like, all those people that died mysteriously creating The Exorcist, I believe that same thing happened here, except people probably didn't die, because otherwise we would have seen it in the news. But if they did die and they covered it up, not surprised, and none of those people were black. That's all I gotta say. But when it comes down to it, black people do make a lot of movies, and I feel that we tend to undercut those movies a little bit. When I'm talking about Tyler Perry movies, when you say it to certain people, either you like it or you're talking about it as these are some dumbass movies and we're just gonna write them off, you know? But I watched Boo 2, A Medea Halloween. And that movie, I was wishing I hadn't spent money on it the whole time.
That was quality stuff.
That whole movie, there were editing mistakes
quality
in
cinematography.
It was horrible. There were editing mistakes. There were dubbing mistakes. Like, the ADR in that, every bit of dialogue that they replaced in that movie was wrong. The lips were moving all crazy. You could tell. They were cursing a lot in that movie. That movie should have had some F-bombs, and it didn't, because they replaced them with random words that didn't fit. So when it's clear they're saying fuck with their lips, they replaced it with something else, and it was and it wasn't even frick. Like, you could say frick, it looks like the same thing coming out your mouth. No, they didn't do that. It was that movie. There were points when people walked off camera, like out the door, but you could see them stop. Like, they didn't keep walking. You're supposed to keep walking. That's how you make movies. Otherwise, people will notice that you slow down as soon as you left. So like these two guys are leaving the house, and this guy just stops. He slows down, and I'm like, yeah, you've left the home, but the camera can still see your back not moving to the car. Like, you're going to the car. You walk your ass all the way down the driveway, like, just to be safe. Like, this is a movie. Like, and then two, when that happens, you go back and you do a reshoot. Like, none of that. That whole movie was just poorly made. Should we hold him accountable for that as a filmmaker? Or, because I've seen reviews of it, and they're like, well, it's Boo 2. What'd you expect? It's Boo 2. And I'm like, nah, I don't know. Like, should we hold him to the same standard we do to other people? And, or, when people are talking about Tyler Perry, should we not rag on this dude? And we should support all these movies? Because I agree we need to support black filmmakers, because if we write them off, then you know, we're no better. You know, we're not supporting black film, and therefore there won't be more black film because we're not making money by them. But when it comes to Tyler Perry, we just write it off. When it's a bad movie, it's, well, it was a Tyler Perry movie. Should I be discussing the cinematography and the story development and the character arcs of Tyler Perry's films, funny or not funny, the way that I would with something else, you know, that I would with Hereditary? Well,
I'm going to share an opinion that's probably not a popular opinion. And I feel like no matter what the color of your skin is, you should be, like, judged on the quality of your work. And that's, like, a lot of people think, oh, you're black, you should support black work, and if you don't support black work, then you're a coon. And it's like, no, I support black work, but if, like, just the other day, I went to an event where it was a lot of black people showcasing their photography in their film and performing their own pieces of music. And I bought a piece of photography from one of the people there because I loved the photo and I wanted to support black work. And it's a picture of, like, the bottom of a man's face and, like, full lips. And it was really beautiful the way that it's taken. Yeah. But if this girl showed up to this event and was just posting pictures of, like, bananas everywhere, talking about support black work, I'm not buying that. And, like, if somebody asks me for an opinion, I'm going to tell you straight up, your work sucks. Like, don't give me crap and then expect me to support it because you're black. Because that's what white people do in the white community. They give each other crap, but they're like, you know what? You're white, I'm white. Let's just bypass it. And that's wrong. And we shouldn't, as black people, be like, you know what? You're black, I'm black. Let's support each other's crap. No, I'm not going to take it because I wouldn't expect someone to give me that, like, to give me that pass. If I give you bad work, don't accept it because I'm black. Like, accept it because it's good work. Because now I'm never going to grow. I'm never going to learn. And we're just going to, like, build this reputation that we produce crap. And that's never going to get us anywhere. So if Tyler Perry puts out a bad movie, like, yeah, he's Tyler Perry. He's made a name for himself. He's put out good movies before. But if he puts out a bad movie, I'm going to say, Tyler Perry, you put out a bad movie. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, but he's black. So, you know, I'm going to just give it 5 stars anyway. No, you put out crap. Again, I'm going to tell you it's crap.
But then again, with Tyler Perry, he has the status now that we can judge him however we want to, and it's not going to affect it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have released Boo 2. It's very clear this movie was not him trying. This was just a bunch of money that he pulled in from people who were curious and just black people that were supporting him. I guess I'm not talking about him, but in the sense that people like, who is it? Ryan Reynolds. People like Ryan Reynolds. He was popular for really dumb humor, and he kept that same thing, and he, you know, panned out, and nobody wanted to hire him for anything. And then this kind of stuff, superhero, nope, doesn't work. And then they do Deadpool, and now he's a big celebrity again. White people give each other, and we also give white people second chances for stuff, you know? Robert Downey Jr., if a black person was as destroyed and alcoholic as he was throughout that part of his career where it ruined him, there would be no kind of Marvel film that they would cast him in the first place because he's black, you know? Where's Taye Diggs? He's a good actor. He hasn't been in anything that's super relevant in a very long time. You know, black movies used to be big enough movies that at least they were in most theaters, you know, before. Now they just under the radar. What's it called? Best Man Holiday came out like probably like 10 years ago at this point. But when I saw Best Man Holiday, it was on DVD, and the fact that Best Man was such a huge movie when it came out, I should have seen it online or something. I didn't know that movie came out, and my mom just handed me the DVD, and then we watched it, and it was great. Best Man Holiday is an amazing movie. I think it might be better than the original because it just expands these characters so perfectly. Their lives are extended so perfectly. These feel like the exact people, just with a time jump. Like, that's awesome. Why wasn't that movie big? You know, Taye Diggs' career is it's not nothing, but I don't know. It's like, it just seems like black people, if we get a chance, it's the only chance that we get. And so I feel like maybe black people should be doing better to prop up these actors who are very good at what they do, because otherwise, if we don't tell Hollywood that we want to see these people still, then they just won't. And then we're looking for the next big black actor, you know, whoever it happens to be right now for this year, for this couple of years. You know, Michael B. Jordan was for a little bit. And then, I can't think of his name, the guy from Attack the Block and Star Wars. He is or was for a little bit until this newest Pacific Rim, and that movie was terrible. So he's not it anymore. Now it's, Black Panther. What's his name again?
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman. Now it's Chadwick Boseman. You know, we pick a black person to be the star black actor for a while, you know? They should all be these stars, but we let these people go, you know? If okay, because he's in I don't know. If anybody who is Idris Elba, if he doesn't continue to be in big movies, he will slip by the wayside, because he was the biggest black actor for a little bit, you know.
Well, he's already kind of slipped. Like,
yeah,
he's just not even working anymore. Like,
yeah, but I mean, if that's not a choice of his, that's the problem. Is that he did Beasts of No Nation, you know, and then from then on, that whole couple of years was nothing but awesome. He was in all kinds of animated movies. He was in all kinds of live action movies. I think probably his career got fucked up because of that Stephen King movie that came out last year. The Black Circle.
Also, he's been focusing on his music a lot.
Yeah, that's true. But I just mean that if, you know, I feel like even if it wasn't a choice, he would just kind of disappear and nobody would notice, and we'd just pick a new black person. But any of these white people, their careers are given second chances, you know? Second, third, fourth, sixth, you know, chances.
And here's the thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't give our people, like, chances and opportunity. We should definitely give our people chances and opportunity. We should definitely support one another and support, like, black work. And, like, if you see a black actor and you should definitely cast them in your movie, especially if they can do the job well. My problem is we have black people that put out work and they know, like, well, my fellow black people are gonna, like, support me and uplift me, so they give us terrible work. And it's like, no, you still have to try. Like, I don't want to start the stigma or the stereotype that you can put out anything and black people just be like, yeah, it's great because he's black and I support him. Like, no, it's great because it's great. And because you're black, I am especially going to support you, because we need to hold each other up, because we can't expect anyone else to do that for us. And that's where, like, that's what my opinion is. Like, support me because I give you great work and because I'm black. Don't just support me because I'm black, but I'm giving you terrible work, and you're like, yeah, but I still gotta support you because you're black. No, because then we're gonna have a bunch of terrible black people flooding the media market, and it's just gonna be a whole stereotype of don't hire the black person because they're not gonna give you anything, because we're sitting up here supporting each other and giving, like, we're giving the world terrible stuff. So if you get a black actor, producer, director, filmmaker, anybody, and they give you work, and it's not good, let them know this isn't good. It's like, I want to support you. I want to buy your stuff. I want to give you opportunity and chance, but you have to come to me with something so that I can support you. It's like my mom always says, you need to be ready. Bring me something that I can work with. Like, when someone tells you, like, bring me work that I can support, but don't bring me nonsense and expect me to support that based off of the fact that we share the same skin color.
Yeah. But then again, with that, though, if we don't support these movies, no one will. And so I'm not saying that they necessarily need to. I don't think that, I don't think that we should support bad films. But at the same time, something like Kicks or something like Dope, you know, that was that were good films, but we didn't see them enough to get them that acclaim. I feel like if any of our movies, low budget or otherwise, make Black Panther kind of money, then Hollywood will notice and want to put more of us in stuff. I think that's what I mean. It's not that we should just haphazardly support everything, but at the very least, maybe we should be buying double tickets for some of these movies. Just because if only half of us support, if every single one of us buys a ticket to one time to this movie, it still won't make those kind of numbers, because that's the population, at least in the United States, that's the population that we're at. It's not going to notice. If all of us buy multiple tickets, I saw Black Panther 6 times in theaters. Like, on the 6th time, the 6th is when I was like, okay, you know, and I was looking at my watch, I was looking at my phone, because I knew the plot and I knew every word in it. That's when I started getting bored. Yeah, exactly. The first 5 times I was in there, I was cheering the whole thing. Every Black person saw that movie more than
stuff
once.
Like Black Panther. Like, it's good quality content. Definitely, like, buy multiple tickets. Definitely support the hell out of it. Go see it 12 times. Even if you don't see it 12 times, go buy 12 tickets. Like, definitely pump your money and support that. Maybe we should do that
for some of this stuff, you know? If
Get Out
made a lot of money, but maybe we should be buying extra tickets for all these Black movies that make it in the theater, just for the sake of knowing this was here and we wanted to see it. You know, we will give
buy
you
extra tickets to Get Out. Yeah, definitely buy extra tickets to quality stuff. But Tyler Perry's Medea's Boo, like, I saw it, I laughed, I had a good time. I'm not gonna give it like all of my money.
Yeah, that's
it just
true,
wasn't that kind of quality content,
because he knows.
Exactly.
But then again, the only reason his movies are in theaters is because of who he is. You have to make Get Out or Black Panther or Fruitvale Station in order to get your movie in the theater. That's what I mean, is that the only Black movies that are in the theater are the ones you're gonna buy multiple tickets for anyway. I don't know, maybe we should try our best to prop up mid-tier movies, you know, the film that I'm thinking about, the one that we're working on, you know, I'm thinking that'll be kind of mid-tier. I'm not thinking, you know, this is gonna change the world or anything. It's gonna be a comedy, you know, it's a fun kind of film. I'm not thinking anything serious. This ain't Fruitvale, you know, and so if it's in theaters, it is. If it's not, it's not. But I wouldn't want fellow Black people to not support it because it's kind of a dumb comedy. Because when we make a dumb comedy, we're like, that's the dumbest of the dumb, we're not gonna watch it. You know, I watched Man in 3B on Netflix, and that shit is the stupidest movie I've ever seen, but it's funny, you know. I don't think it was meant to be 100% serious, you know. That's a filmmaker, I can't think of his name right now, but that's a filmmaker who I would watch more of his movies, because they're dumb and quirky, but they're quirky in that telenovela kind of way, you know, that it's a soap opera. Let's prop them up, you know. It might not be the best, but I don't know, I just want to see us in the theater without having to make Get Out, because Get Out is just too damn good. And then at the same time, Jordan Peele is already Jordan Peele, so they already trusted him enough to put in the theater. All these Black movies that are out, good or not, are movies just because I'm already a famous Black person, you know? I don't know. It just seems like some of these lower tier, you know, all these Hereditary, you know, all these A24 movies, they get made. Most of these people are white all the time. These are lower budgets. These are lesser known filmmakers, but people are putting money behind it and they're getting them in the theaters. You know, the fact that Moonlight did so well, that was a miracle, because who big was behind that movie, you know? But we can't be waiting for Moonlight every time. You know, when are we just gonna make the Dude Where's My Car of black movies? You know, I'm sure it's out there, but no one's gonna watch it. You know, all of Ashton Kutcher's movies, all of Ryan Reynolds' movies before now, they were all that low tier dumbass comedy. They just made that Adventureland or whatever. That's just jackass with a little bit more plot. White people will watch other white people jump off of shit, you know? And some of us will go see that movie too, because clearly the numbers are up there that people of color are definitely seeing these movies. Why don't we have a bunch of black people jumping off of shit and people are paying tickets for it? I just want us to do it, bad or not. I just feel like when we make something bad, it's written off because it's black already, you know?
That I can agree with. We definitely should just
like
make
that.
it. Like, that, we definitely should just go ahead and make it. Like, I want to see more black work in the theaters. I want to see more black work given a chance. I guess, like, the point of view I'm saying, like, I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying, like, oh, like,
Cheyenne
black
hates
movies.
black people.
No, like, I'm not saying,
She's
like,
saying
oh, black movies aren't being made because they
skin.
suck. Like, no. I'm saying, like...
Cheyenne Finch.
I'm saying make these movies, support black work, support it and put it out there just like they put white people stuff out there, and just see how the people react. But when it comes to reviewing it and like supporting it and saying like this was a great piece of work, it's like there's one comedian that I like. Yeah, we shouldn't lie, never lie. Like, there's one comedian I really love, and yes, he is a white man, but he had a good point. He said, he basically in the middle of one of his comedy specials, he sat down on the stage and he basically told them, he was like, listen, I'm an entertainer, I'm providing you a service. If I stop making you laugh, if I stop doing my job, don't stick with me, because there are a lot of like people out there that are like, oh, I love my fans, they stick with me no matter what happens, I love them. He's like, do not stick with me, I'm providing you a service, and if I stop providing you that service, stop paying me, like, stop giving me money. He's like, and I'm glad he was like real like that. He's like, if I stop making you laugh, don't be my fan anymore, like, don't stick with me. He was like, please leave me, like, I stopped doing my job. And that's what it comes down to. Like, Tyler Perry, he's made a name for himself. He's made films. But if his movies start to suck and he stops doing his job correctly because which now he's made his money and he's comfortable, yeah, do not stick with him. Done. Like, he's drop him and find the next amazing black filmmaker and be their fan. Like, we need to stop supporting bad work. That's the problem, because these people will keep making bad work because that's how they get paid. And now, like, they're getting paid to do nothing, and it's not fair, and it's just a waste of space in the industry. Stop supporting bad work, but always support black work. Yes. Put that on a t-shirt. I would say... I want a t-shirt. I would definitely say go to your smaller theaters, go to your local chains, go to those and look for these sorts of movies. For me in SF, if you don't know, you can go to the Embarcadero Center 2, and there is a theater in there. They play, they were playing Moonlight when nobody was playing Moonlight. They play movies that are not played at other places. I went to see I'm Not Your Negro. There, go see those kinds of films. If they're out, look for them, because when they are out, they're only in these small theaters. Dope was in a few major theaters. Kicks was in like no major theaters whatsoever. Most people don't know what Kicks is. Go watch that movie. It's really good. We need to, at the very least, seek out these kinds of films. So I would say that, in summation, definitely look for black cinema and do your best to support it, even if it's a little bit out of your way, even if it's a bit of an inconvenience, because movies that are good do need to be seen. And I want white people... we'll never get to the point where black movies won't be considered black movies. That's never gonna happen. That's just how our world works. You type in white movies in Google and you get, history of black and white cinema. You type in black movies and Google will give you a list of movies starring black people. So our society is already baked in that we are different and we're never gonna be the same on the same level or anything. But at the same time,
When people think black movies, they think Tyler Perry, you know, and they think how dumb that is, and they just kind of write it off. I want people, when we say black movies, they immediately think of Jordan Peele, they think of Get Out, they think of Kicks, they think of Dope, they think of Moonlight. I want those to be the ones in the forefront, and not, you know, the crappy ones, you know, not the dumb stuff, because sadly we don't get to make dumb stuff and have it just be dumb, and that's fucking fine, you know. As there are still a bunch of people that are saying that whatever that movie was called, Fun Night or whatever, is better than Girls Trip. That's not true, but white people saw that one because it had Scarlett Johansson, and they didn't see the black movie, you know. And so I definitely think Girls Trip made more money anyway, so the numbers have shown that movie wasn't popular, but people will still say that movie wasn't as good as the other movie, simply because, whether they've seen it or not, simply because our movies aren't considered to be of quality, you know. And I want to start a precedent that, no, we're good at what we do, you know, because we are. Even when we do something that's not all that great, it's usually very good, because we're not getting that kind of exposure, and at the very least, it's new and different, and people want to see things that are new. That's it, you know, plain and simple. We're used to stuff being formulaic, and when it's not that way, it suddenly becomes such an interesting thing. You know, I want to see more Afrofuturism. I want to see more black horror. You know, I want to see those kind of genres, because our everyday lives are already coded with racism, you know, from white people. They already think they know us, so they're not going to go see a romance with black people. They're not going to go see a slice of life with black people, because they just think they already know that kind of stuff from us, you know. They will see Straight Outta Compton because it's true to form as far as just looks. It looks like everything that they expect a black movie to be, you know. So maybe not those, but horror, but sci-fi, those are new points of view that we can tap into, you know, from just the African standpoint. We ain't looking at anything from Africa in this country, and we should be, because there's so much history, there's so many myths, there's so everything that we could be pulling from. We'll make another Greek mythology movie, but what are some tales, you know? Where's my, not Unapi, that's my character. Shit, I can't think of that guy's name. Dang it, it's so important. He like went down on, it was like the chain, the world chain, and he went down and like created people out of the clay. It was a really great story. I can't think of the name though. But where's God? That movie? No. I want to see those, you know. It's an untapped market, you know, and we've got nothing but great creators out there. Let's get started, and I'm gonna support you. Whatever filmmaker is listening to this who isn't sure about whatever, I'm going to do my best to see that movie, you know?
I'll support you too. I love black people, I swear.
Yeah, write us if you want. I'm not saying we have money. If you come looking for funding, you're not going to get it. I'm sorry. Imagine Only doesn't have that kind of money. Bantucentric doesn't have that kind of money. But if you want to, tweet at us at Bantucentric. If you want to, send us an email, bantucentric@gmail.com. Definitely tell us these things, because I want this to be popular. I will shout you out on this podcast, regardless of the quality. I will let people know that you're black and that you're creating something, and that's worth it. And speaking of that, the Bantu of the day happens to be another black filmmaker who has made, in my opinion, a very good short film that definitely affects me emotionally, that I'm not going to spoil
very much
because it's just that good. Yes.
It was
and
so
what's
good.
His name?
I was super drawn in. Pascal Aka? I hope I'm saying that correctly. I believe so. Pascal Aka, which is a dope name, by the way.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
But definitely his short film, Her First Time, like, wow. It's so good.
Look it up on YouTube.
We're not gonna spoil it, but I was definitely like listening and watching, like, what? Like, it was really good.
Definitely. Just a little bit about him. He was born in the Ivory Coast, July 17th, 1985. He grew up in Ghana and attended a number of film schools in Ontario and later in life, and he's produced and written and directed and acted. He's made music videos. He's done everything. Some of his famous films being Jamie and Eddie, Souls of Strife, Evil, Black Rose, and plenty of other ones. He doesn't have a huge body of work when it comes to just as far as like his acting or directing or any of those, but there's at least 5-6 credits for like everything down here on IMDb. He's done a bunch of great stuff, and I love his style so far, you know, getting into his work. I love his style. I love seeing African directors and writers creating things that we are seeing here in the States. That's very important to me. I want to shout more of those people. And he happens to be our first African Bantu of the day. We've had Americans, we've had a Canadian. He's the first African Bantu of the day, and we just want to let you know that we support you and everything that you do. Thank you for being Bantu. And if you didn't know and you were listening to this show, because we didn't really give an explanation, Bantu is the word that is encompassing of all black people. There is the Bantu word that is used in Southern Africa that specifically refers to that set of languages, but in a broader sense it has also been used to just mean Pan-Africans, everybody everywhere in the world that is descended from Africa. So this person, you are a Bantu, and I feel that we are equal and the same. You know, there are plenty of people that are like, oh, but you're not African American, oh, you're this, you're that. I don't care. This show is about all of us because we all do great work
all
around
Bantus.
The world. Yeah. So thank you again for all that you do.
For being
Thank
Bantu.
you for being Bantu.
You could have been anything, but you chose us. We
Yes.
appreciate your business.
We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So, we got time for one more. We're a little bit over time here.
Yeah.
But who
Just a
cares?
tad.
Fuck it. I think we've got time. So let's go. Anybody that really, really likes this show, which is a very few amount of you, will continue listening. Hopefully, if you gotta pause and come back later in the day or tomorrow, go for it. I listen to podcasts all through work, you know, so as long as you're working more than an hour, you can probably listen to the rest of this. But
You're
if
gonna come
not,
back to like, they're still talking.
yeah, please come back though. Like, I don't know. We definitely try to keep things about an hour, but let's just go. This is a great conversation. I'm ready to go if you are.
Let's go. So, we're going to talk a little bit about a relationship topic. We typically like to talk about relationship stuff every episode.
We've kind of touched on it the past few.
Yeah, we kind of touched on the past few episodes, but this episode, we're going to dive in. Yeah.
Splash.
So, my question is, do you guys believe that parents should have any kind of like big bearing on who you date? Meaning like you're seeing someone and you introduce them to your family. Your parents go, nope, I don't like them. Break up with them. And you say, okay. Like, is that something that you believe should be a thing? Okay, why do you feel that way?
We're done. It's over.
That's it? Oh,
no.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for listening to this.
Stay woke,
I would say
stay
no.
Bantu.
I'd say no. Mainly because if you're a kid, and you're a teenager listening to this, which I guess you can. We say 16 and up. I mean, it's curse words. Like, you can listen to this. I don't care. If you're a teenager, do what your parents say to a point. You're not going to, so I'm not even going to try, because I didn't. But I would say that your parents
always listen to your parents, kids.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to be that adult. But your parents do have some wisdom when it comes to that. And I'm sorry, but they'll probably be a little bit right in there at some point in time. I'm not saying all right, because I'll say it. Mine weren't 100% right when it came to it, but they were doing the best they can, so it's fine. You know, it doesn't matter.
My mother was 100% right, and I was a crappy child. I could have avoided so many situations.
Wow.
Had I just listened to my mom.
I mean, same thing, you know, I didn't believe it, you know, I did my own stuff most of the time. Yeah, they ended up pretty right about as far as people went. But then again, I didn't really share many relationships with them. I think I shared the last one. This was like senior year, is the first girlfriend that they knew about. You know, I didn't bring people up because, you know, I typically like to do stuff on my own. But I think that's it, you know, especially being an adult. I'm very happy with how much influence my mom has had in my relationship. Because when I bring up stuff to her, no matter if it's an issue that I'm having just in general or if it's an issue that I'm having with Alex, you know, she's on my side because I'm her kid, but she has never been like, you need to break up, or, you know, this is a problem and she's being blah, blah, blah. She's always been very impartial when it comes to stuff and very honest. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad because I'd say too many parents try to dictate to their kids. And it's like, it's just not helpful because they're just going to run from you. You know, they're just going to not listen to you anyway. When it's a kid, it's your job to raise this kid. When they're an adult, I don't know. I would say just don't bother, because then you're going to be pissed off and feel like they're disobeying you all the time, you know, if you're the parent. And then with the child, you know, or I mean with the child being an adult, though, they're not going to bring anything to their parents anymore. You know, if every time I brought something up to my mom about a fight or whatever that I had with Alex, and she's just like, yeah, it's not going to work. You're dating a white girl. Break up. Like, I just wouldn't bring her stuff, you know, because that's not what I came here for. I didn't come here for a breakup with her.
Right.
Like, I came here for comfort.
That's the only answer to your problem.
Yeah.
Just break up with her.
I wouldn't.
Clearly,
yeah,
she's not the one. You guys had a disagreement, so you'll never disagree with the black love of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
and
but
plus
like,
parents don't know the whole problem.
Yeah, like definitely.
Friends don't either.
That's definitely been a big issue for me. See, in high school, it was definitely like I wasn't allowed to date till I was 16. And trying to date before that was just like cause for chaos. So I was like, let's not even do that. And then I get into high school, I have my first boyfriend, and it was just absolute chaos. And like my mom, being a mom, she could, even though she was on the outside of the situation, she just knew this was not the guy for me. She's like, this is not a situation I want my child in. She had like, I'm promise you, she had like none of the details, but she just knew that this was just not the situation for me. But you know, I'm a teenager and I love him and you know, all that crap. But then it's like you get older and you become an adult, and it's like the relationship that I'm in now, I would very much say is an adult relationship. Yeah. And it's definitely not anything like what I've dealt with in the past growing up in high school. Not to say that I've got it all figured out now, but it's definitely an adult relationship that I'm in right now. And I like that I can come to my mom and I can talk to her about it. I can say, listen, I'm feeling this, I'm going through that. And we've definitely had to go through the whole dynamic of like me growing up and us having a discussion instead of her making like a decision. So so it's definitely got a lot to do with that age gap. I believe if you are like 19 and younger, you should definitely listen to your parents if they're like, don't date that person, because they probably have really good reason as to why they're saying that. And you're a teenager, you are still trying to figure it all out, and it's a really rocky road. But if you're 20 and up, I think it's definitely the time where even if you're still figuring it out, this is the time to figure it out. Yeah. So if you're like, no, I'm going to try and make it work, I'm going to see this through, then go for that. Because it's like in my relationship, of course, like my parents don't know everything about him. I've known my boyfriend since high school. We were friends for years before we ever even started dating. So I know him way better than my parents do. Yeah. But my mom has seen some bad sides of the relationship, and she automatically goes into protection mode, and it becomes,
yeah.
I want to protect you. Like, I don't want to see you cry. I don't want to see you hurt. So let's just completely get rid of the problem. And me being like older now, I'm like, no, like I recognize like there are, like any relationship is going to have like disagreements or like some kind of bumpy road in it. But I'm like, I want to work through it because it's worth it to me. And that's definitely a discussion we had to have. And I think it's a discussion everyone should have with their parents when they get into like their first adult relationship. Just be like, listen, I'm an adult now. This is like, I'm deciding I want to be in this relationship. Now, the only exception is if your relationship becomes abusive, because often you'll be in an abusive situation. You won't see that it's abusive, but if someone is like literally hurting you and your parents are like, that person has to go, this is when I highly recommend like listening. But if you're just like, we had a fight and now my parents don't like him, I think that's something you need to work out.
Advice is coming specifically, you know?
Yeah.
If you're going to them because you had a fight, it's weird, but I would take it with a grain of salt, you know, the same way you should if any of your friends say anything, you know, take it in mind, you know, but in general, do what you're going to do because you're an adult, you know, and you need to be able to make your own decision. But if you're just thinking things are fine and your mom starts saying, I don't like this person, something's wrong, you need to break up with them and is giving you reasons, you know, that you don't necessarily agree with, and then your dad says, and he starts giving you the same reasons, and then your friend says, and they start giving you the same reasons, eventually they're gonna be right. Like 9 times out of 10, they're right. And that's the problem, is that I would say take everything with a grain of salt, but take most of those things. Unless these are unsolicited results from people you do not trust whatsoever. If they've been right about stuff throughout your life, or just that you trust them as a person, look into it, you know? Don't be that idiot that's like, this person that I've known for a small amount of time, even if it's years at this point, your mom's known you longer. Sorry. You know, so if she is saying this is a bad thing and I'm worried for you, you know, if she's been a bad mom, been telling you bad shit your whole life, been abusing you, been not, then yeah, she just doesn't want you to be happy. But if it's something that she's like, baby, I'm afraid for you, this person isn't right, and is giving you reasons, if she's saying these are the reasons why I don't like this person and you're just denying them, look into that shit, because there's something you're not seeing, you know? Every time there's something you're not seeing. If people can point out what's wrong and you deny that, then I'm pretty sure somebody's drastically mistaken, because if more than 3 people are telling you the same thing, there is something in that person that is being seen and you're just ignoring it at this point.
Right. But if it's something like, oh yeah, he bought me flowers, and your mom's like, flowers? That jerk!
Yeah.
You gotta get rid of him. He gotta go. Then it's like, yeah, no, use your common sense. This isn't a real conversation.
Yeah,
like,
or
no.
after just fights, you know? If it's just a fight and you're bringing it up and you're venting and they're always like, you need to break up with them, then they're not in this for you to be happy, you know? They're in this to control it to some degree. And parents don't often do this. Like, good parents don't often do this because they're being malicious. They just, you know, they feel that that's their job, is to add, you know, into their kid's life, which is understandable. But if it's just, you know, like I said, if I'm calling my mom because of a fight, I don't want her telling me to quit, you know, because that's what I'm trying to do is resolve this fight, and I just need to vent this to somebody who will listen to me, you know? Like I said, if it's advice randomly, then maybe pay more attention to it. But if every time you bring up a tiny little problem, your mom's like, yeah, well, you need to dump them, then she's not really in this for you to be happy and productive and solving problems, you know? She's just like, get rid of them. If that's the first word, then nobody is, you know? If your friend's doing that, they might be jealous, they might be whatever. They're just trying to get you to stop, you know? Just get out of it. If it's like, well, how do you feel about what they said or what they did? Maybe you should try this. Have you thought about therapy? Have you thought about blah, blah, blah? Well, are they trying to do, I don't know. I don't know if I really support this relationship. It just seems like maybe this person's not good for you. That's when you listen. If it's like, hey, mom, we had a fight over this and that, well, you need to drop them. That's not a response. You know, that isn't a curated, you know, logical response to this problem. That's a default, I don't want you in this relationship anymore. And therefore, that's just not helpful for you as an adult trying to make choices. Because if your default is just get out, then you're not helping anybody, you know? And don't listen to that kind of advice.
And also make sure you're giving your parents the whole story. Like,
Yes.
I will admit it, I am a big, I'm very much guilty for the whole running to my mom, telling my mom, he did this, and he doesn't do that, and he said this.
He hit me.
And
you need to get your gun and go shoot him. I'm calling the cops. You ain't one of them,
right.
are you?
No.
Blow it out of proportion,
like, I'll definitely
get your man arrested.
Nah, but like growing up, I would definitely be the one where I'd tell half the story. Like, yeah, and I don't know, like, why he's acting like this. Yeah. He's just terrible.
I only punched him in the
and
mouth.
then it's like and then it's like an hour later, oh, I like him again. And now it's like my mom doesn't know how to defend me in that situation. Because she's like, you say he does all these things, but then you go back. And it's like the reason I go back is because he's not the only one that was like, it wasn't only his fault. Like, I had, like, I was a part of this too. But if you ask my parents, no, Cheyenne was perfect, and he's just a jerk. Like, and that's a problem that we have when we talk to our parents or we talk to other people explaining the issues in our relationship. If you can't explain it right, don't explain it at all, because all that's going to happen is people are going to be like, why is she still with him if he's doing A, B, and C? And it's like, because she didn't give you the whole story. Like, clearly, like, their issues are probably both of them. It's not just one person constantly throwing daggers. Like, no, it's like there's more to the story that you're not getting. So, of course, the people around you are like, we hate him and you can do better. And but you have to fess up if you're doing something as well. Or else everyone's just going to hate him. And you're going to be like, why do you guys hate him? You don't know him like I do. And it's like, we hate him because just last Tuesday you were crying.
Yeah.
Like,
and it seemed that there was no reason, you know? Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
So I fall on that sword. Yeah, I take responsibility.
Yeah,
we're all growing here.
You know, when it comes to just people in general. I mean, that's just good relationship advice anyway. You know, and whatever's going on, you need to be fessing up to what you're doing wrong, period. You know, because too many people are always like, oh, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. You've done something too. You know,
it's like, I'm not the problem. I'm perfect.
Yeah, exactly. If you ever once think that you didn't have any part in this, you're wrong, period. There's something you did wrong in here. Rarely on earth does anybody, especially people you're in a relationship with, is there no part of this that could be double-sided. Again, we're not talking about abuse. If you're being hit, then that is 100% on them. And when it comes to the things that you did or said, that's not relevant because the response is never to hit. But if you're getting into fights with somebody over something, maybe if they're the one that starts yelling, maybe you said something to make them yell. You know, you got to think about that too. It's not always that, oh, they're just starting fights with me. Maybe you should think about how you're approaching them with whatever you have to say or how you're talking to them. If they're getting mad all the time because of something you said something. If you just stay silent, they're not just gonna start yelling at your ass, you know. So what'd you say? You know, how'd you say it? Think about that stuff, because people are just like, I'm me, I talk like this, I think like this, that's it. Everybody needs to understand me. And it's no, half the time you're wrong about stuff. Everybody's wrong about stuff at different times, and or we're just different people, and different people are brought up differently, and they see things differently and hear things differently and think about things differently, and y'all are just fighting because you thought about it differently, and neither of you will admit that what you were thinking is not better or righter than what they're thinking. You just want to be right, you know. That's just not healthy, you know. You need to be able to fess up to shit.
Also recognize if something is like emotional abuse though, because I know we talked about like physical abuse, but someone doesn't have to hit you in order to be abusing you. So if you guys have issues in your relationship and this person is making you feel like every problem in that relationship is your fault, and like there's something you could be doing better, and you're just like, you're trying to love them and you're trying to understand what you could be doing and you're trying to fix it, and it seems like nothing you do is ever right. Understand that it's probably not your fault. It is like it's not your fault. If this person is like unwilling to work with you and communicate with you to understand the problems in your relationship, and all they want to do is blame and make you feel like dirt, it's not your fault. And you need to get out of that situation, definitely. Like, there's some things you can talk through, and some things... Dinner,
and you bring them flowers and chocolates, and you do the whole thing up, and they walk in the house and start calling you fat or saying that this is bullshit, that's not the person for you. You know, if you're just talking, and sometimes, like I said, you mouth off and they mouth off back, different thing. But if you are coming at them with kindness and they are repeatedly giving you shit back, that shows that they're not willing to forgive. If maybe you did something in the past and they're still on it, they're not willing to forgive you. They're not willing to move forward. And I would say the relationship it can't be salvaged, because two people need to be willing to fix whatever happened, even if it was a rightful thing, you know, that they're upset about. People who have cheated, I'm not saying it's right, but if you are going to stay in a relationship with a person who has cheated, you're going to have to forgive them if that's your choice. If not, then break up with them, you know? But if you're going to stay with this person, I don't think it's right for you to be years later still not trusting them with anything. If they have been faithful, you made the choice to stick around. You know, they did this thing that was horrible, and I probably wouldn't be able to forgive it, but you did that. You can't be coming in, you know, knocking plates off, you know, not eating the food they made for you, not doing, you know, going with them to this thing because they bought you concert tickets and you're just not going to go, because then you're just torturing this person forever. You know, this is just eternal punishment for something you told them you would forgive them about, you know. Don't be with people that are like that. Even if you are the dirtbag that cheated, if they're still with you and it's been a period of time, you guys need to be patching things up and getting better, or you need to leave because you did something wrong and it's clear that they cannot forgive you for it, and you should be able to accept that responsibility and leave their life, because they then deserve to be with somebody that they can trust. And if you've ruined the trust, you know, be able to fess up about it, that kind of thing. I just think in anything, parents, you know, friendships, whatever, you need to be able to fess up about what you're doing wrong, you know, and just acknowledge when you've messed up. I don't know why that's such a taboo nowadays. You know, we want people like people that like Trump like him because he just straightforward and he just says what he says. You know, we like people like Deadpool because they're sarcastic and mean, and I'm not saying I like Deadpool too, you know, but all of our characters that are great are the quippy, and they're all kind of mean and snarky, you know, and non-sociable. And it's like, well, why is that the person? You know, people didn't like Newt Scamander from Fantastic Beasts, you know, because they said he wasn't an engaging protagonist. I loved him because he was a person who cared about animals. Like, that's it. That didn't make him less engaging, but he's a male character who didn't solve his problems with his fists or his wand hurting or anything, so people thought he was just boring. That's crazy. You know, he would be a person who would fess up to what he did in a relationship. He would be a person who could get emotional and explain himself and explain, you know, what happened, you know. Be that person. Don't be the person that thinks you're right, because you're not. Nobody's right all the time. Period.
Yeah, just to add on to what you were saying earlier, definitely if even if you are the person that cheated in the relationship, if this person has spent like months and years like berating you about it but won't leave you, like they'll stay in the relationship with you knowing that you cheated but just like refuse to like let it go. Like, cheating is never okay. It's never a good thing. I do not like vouch for that. Definitely not. But if you did cheat,
there's no way
and this person,
that you accidentally did it. If you're a person listening and you've cheated and they don't know, and you're like, it was an accident, you didn't accidentally put yourself in somebody and out of somebody and in somebody and out of somebody and in somebody and out of somebody. Like, no, I'm sorry. Or vice versa.
No. But if you are the person that cheated in the relationship and your partner has decided to either work through this with you or to decide to stay with you and to somehow like heal from this situation, then you have to heal. But if you've been chasing them down for months or years and they're still just like making you feel bad about the situation with no sign of progress in the right direction
since the first one,
exactly, you have not.
That's important.
You've been on your best behavior.
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, definitely remember that. But if you have been on your best behavior and you're trying to learn from it, grow from it, and move on from it, and this person says, yeah, I'll be with you, or yeah, I'll give you another shot, but they're still treating you like crap because they haven't forgiven you and refuse to forgive you, get out of that situation. Yeah. Because, like, if you're trying to be better and do better and they won't allow you to grow, like, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. People that don't let things go. It's like, you won't let me grow to become a better person or to do better. I've apologized for the situation. I recognize that what I did was wrong, what I did was awful, and what I did hurt you. And we've been through, like, the rough patch of it, and you've decided you still want to stay with me, but you're gonna keep treating me like crap because you're still angry about it and refuse to stop being angry about it, then why are you with me? Leave. Like, definitely, if you can't forgive somebody, leave. And if someone can't forgive you, leave, because there's no point to still be in the relationship. The thing happened, we can't get over it, then it needs to end. And it needs to be as simple as that. No one deserves to be abused ever over anything.
No, for anything. Even if you deserved it at a time, eternal punishment, isn't, it doesn't fit the crime. It just doesn't.
Exactly.
If you did anything once and they're still keeping your ass around, then you need to eventually get through that situation, depending on the severity of it. If you killed both of their parents and they're like, okay, I understand, you're a murderer, so I'm gonna stay with you, eventually they better forgive your ass. Like, it's insanity. But they stayed. If they're gonna date your serial killing ass, then they can't then be treating you like a bad person all the time, because that's the thing too. Then they've signed off on what it was that you did, because they've at least forgiven it. And if it's still something that's going on, then if they're still in your life, then they are facilitating you being in this state. Half the time people learn and grow after the relationship is over. If you're gonna sit there and be with this person despite the things that they're doing, then you are teaching them that they can keep treating you this kind of way and that nothing's gonna happen. Sometimes you got to get out of there, or at least have the legitimate that they understand the threat of you getting out of there because they're wrong,
Right.
But yeah, people
end of the
suck.
day, listen to your parents.
Listen to them, regardless of what it is they're saying, unless it's just straight abuse and it's been that way your whole childhood. Listen to them, and
Don't
again, it's not that they're right.
Have an adult conversation.
Yeah, it's not that they're right. Older people like to act like they're right all the time, and that we need to, giving them respect means listening and doing everything they say. That's not true. Don't be that person. But if they're saying something, listen to them, because chances are, unless they're just a person who is routinely just trying to hurt you, they have lived through something relatively similar at some point in time. At least emotionally they can get behind whatever it is, and just listen to it. You don't have to do it, just nod and say okay, and then walk your ass away and do what you want to do. Like, it's not that hard, but listen to all kinds of criticism. If you're writing a book and somebody says it's not all that great and you're just gonna brush it off, no, it's probably not all that great. If people are telling you something, it might have some truth in there, so look into it, never be worried about looking into stuff. That's the biggest problem with people, is that we stick to ideologies and to thoughts and feelings that are just one way, and we're just not gonna dive in. We're not gonna think about it because it's false or this is right, and plain and simple, I'm just done. No, dig in to yourself, to other people, to your relationship, to some ice cream, to whatever.
And you should never be like 35 and be like, I'm breaking up with you. Why? Because my mom said so. Like, that should never be a thing.
Bullshit.
You need to have a legitimate reason. Even if your parents do have, like, sit you down, have a conversation, and open your eyes to a situation. And you're like, you know what? He's terrible. And then you break up with the person and be like, I realized you're terrible. Like, but never be that person that's like, I'm breaking up with you because daddy said so. Like, no, you're too old for that. If you're like also 16 and it's like, my parents don't approve of you, then that makes sense.
Yeah,
but if you're like
47,
no.
Also a tidbit, this is not in the same exact vein, but don't be the person to break up with somebody without a reason. Like, even if there is no direct reason, tell them that. You know, not saying just there's no reason whatsoever, but explain to them that maybe you're not feeling it, that whatever, you know. Please, just from experience and past relationships, it's the worst thing in the world to not be allowed to grow at the end of a relationship. You know, especially if you're a person who does fess up to what they've done and does try to become a better person in life situations, it's the worst thing in the world to have somebody just disappear, start ghosting you, you know, or just break up and never give you any particular reason. Because if I was fucking up, I want to know. You know, I also think that if you're in a relationship and you're not communicating with this person, you need to give them the opportunity to be better before you just break it off, though, too. You know, that's important. If you're not a person, I'm just not going to say it, I'm just going to break up with them over it. If it's like racism, white supremacy kind of shit, yeah, break up with them. You don't need to go deeper, and they're not going to change that kind of stuff. They're worshiping the devil. I get it, you know, but still say you worship Satan. And so confirmed. I can't be in this relationship. Like, that makes perfect sense.
But why?
Yeah, just don't walk out. We can get over
our
lives.
Religious differences.
No, we can't. I'm sorry.
It's like,
Satan.
No, this isn't Jew versus Catholic. This is Satan versus God.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. You know, if they're dating Satan, if they're worshiping Satan, just get out of there. But tell them I don't approve of you worshiping Satan. You know, people do deserve the right to grow and the ability to grow. And don't hurt this person, never, regardless of what they've done. I don't care if they're the worst person in the world. If they did kill both your parents, okay, that's, you know, that's a bit much. Don't talk to that person anymore.
Don't be mad because they killed your parents.
Yeah. But
get over it.
In court, your final statement during that trial needs to be, I'm done with you because you killed my parents. So that person understands. You know, don't be the person who's just going to break up with somebody.
I think they kind of, like, once they killed your parents, they should have understood that this was kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, they'll get it, but, you know.
Like, you never said, like, killing your parents was a deal breaker. Like,
yeah, shit.
That's something you should mention on the first or second date.
Come on, we need better communication. I wouldn't have done it. This. You gotta tell me these things before they get in there.
Without
that's
trust,
not fair.
there is no us.
Yeah, exactly. That's not fair. Like, legit, people, you know? if your parents get killed by your significant other... I can't even do that because there's somebody listening who's not listening anymore because we're a big bunch of assholes. Like, that's where we're at. Somebody has turned this podcast off because their significant other did do something to their parents, and we're the worst people in the world. So don't listen to us either.
And on that note.
At the end of the day, everybody's wrong.
If you're still listening,
you are always right.
We thank you. We thank you for sticking with us.
Yes.
Like we thank the fans for staying by our side.
Black movies are bad. Don't watch black movies. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Never watch black films. Bleach your skin.
Stop.
Go see Hereditary.
Someone's just gonna listen to like the end of this podcast and be like,
yeah.
What?
Don't listen to just the end of podcasts. Come on. That's
like that lady
thing.
in Hereditary. What?
Yeah. But yes.
What do you mean stop the seance? Like, why would I do that?
Yeah, on that crazy note.
Stuff.
Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you guys for listening to Bantucentric as usual. You can find me at Buck Rivers Film on Twitter. And please follow Bantucentric and Imagine Only Prod on Twitter. And send us in emails. You know, we're looking for more Bantus of the day. We're looking for movies to talk about and review, that sort of thing. Email us in. At Bantucentric@gmail. You know, it's all very simple as far as the name goes. Nobody else has this name. So yeah, just plug in Bantucentric into whatever you're using and you will get to us. And you can find Cheyenne at
Shy Productions, that's CHEY Productions, on Instagram and on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitter at SidelineSource, and my two websites are sidelinesource.net and CheyenneFinch.com. So if you want to know about more upcoming projects and my weekly post, then make sure to check those out. And if you'd like to be a part of the Sideline Source team, you can email me at CheyenneFinchSS@gmail.com. Let me know what your skill set is. I'm looking for people in writing, broadcasting, and social media. So let me know what you're interested in, and hopefully we can work something out.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Cool.
It's been a long podcast, and nothing else to say, but as always, stay woke.
And stay Bantu.
All right, see ya.
Bye.